fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today to share with you some tips and maybe some tricks on approaching max color, confetti heavy canvases. So lots of us like to do Josephine Wall diamond paintings, and she is very well known in the diamond painting community for producing works of art that require lots and lots of colors. I have done a Josephine Wall called Diana from Diamond Painting Deutschland. I'm currently working on a second one called Melody in Pink. Diana had 215 colors. This one has 275. So lots and lots of colors. Now, these can be very, very intimidating. So I wanted to give people some kind of tips to deal with using these very large color canvases if you're doing a max color cross stitch conversion from Heaven and Earth Designs, or you're just trying to do your own cross stitch conversion. Tips for working with when you have this many colors, because it certainly can be overwhelming. So just a few things kind of at random before I get into what the tips and tricks are. There's lots of ways to approach this. And the first way that you need to think about it is how you're going to organize your drills. For me personally, for my last Josephine Wall and for this one, I just went through and put them in DMC order. So if you look at these, you can see that they're all in DMC order. I've got half of them in this case with 2 layers, and then I've got a 4-drawer art dot storage system that has 3 of the 4 drawers filled. You can organize them by DMC, or you can do them differently. For a lot of people, especially when you have this many colors, what they will do is decide to organize them by color. So for instance, I might pick everything that is yellow and put them together. I'm just going to pick out some yellow symbols here, right? So these are all yellow, and I could group these all together so that if I saw a yellow color on the canvas, I knew to go to the yellow section, the blue section, etc., etc. The problem for that with me is printing is not always accurate, and sometimes the symbols on the stickers that they give you are not the same as what is on the canvas or even what the drill is. For instance, this little hamburger symbol is a yellow. Okay, cool. This little house symbol is a yellow. Okay, cool. This yellow lightning bolt is green. Wait, what? Because printers can run out of ink and things don't always look exactly the same, sometimes it's not as easy as doing it by color. That is one way to do it, however. The other way to do it is to do it by symbol. And for something like the Josephine Walls from Diamond Painting Deutschland, I feel like maybe that is actually more helpful because there are so many symbols that they kind of run together. So for instance, let me just pick a few here and I'll show you what I mean. So these are all what I call my angle symbols. And these are not all of them. These are just the first 4 that I picked. So here we've got a right angle that goes off to the right with no other symbol. Here it's more like a U shape. Here we've got that same U shape, but it's got a dot in the middle. And then here we've got a right angle pointing the opposite way with a dot. I will also let you know there is one that is the mirror of this, so that can get confusing. Oh, and then here's this one where it's on the bottom but with a dot. So putting like symbols together might be another way to go about it as well. However you want to do it and however makes the most sense to you is how you should do it. I have had the thought that I could go back in and do these a bit differently and do it by symbol. Here's another example. We've got all of these up, down, filled in, not filled in, pointed to the left, to the right triangles. That can get confusing. Just take some time to think about it and think about what maybe works best for you. The other thing that I wanted to talk about a bit before I get into how I actually deal with the confetti when I'm diamond painting is, in addition to sorting out all of the colors, the other thing you might want to do is think about how you have these stacked or how you have them organized. If you've seen the tray tower method, I'll stick a picture over there. and you can check out that video, where basically you have a bunch of trays and you kit up into trays, rather into containers like this. If you have enough trays and you like doing that, then do it that way. However, for this particular kit, that would mean I needed 275 trays, one for each color, and that just doesn't seem doable. So the other thing that you can do is do what I've done here and just gather random trays. Some may have lids, some may not, just whatever you have in your collection. And it doesn't really matter what size they are. You could even get some of those, the green boats, if you collect those that come in the budget kits, if you have a ton of those, or just the small white ones that come in a lot of kits, whatever you want to use. And then you look at a section and say, okay, I'm going to need these colors, and you just pick out the colors that you're going to need and put each one in a tray. So rather than needing to label the tray like you would with the tower method, you would just have your drills in each of these trays, but with the bottle there so that you don't lose track of which color it is and which color you need. Now, I don't do this because I get confused way too easily. It would be way too easy for me to dump the drills back into the wrong tray or the wrong container, to knock things over. I already do that enough with just one bottle out. So having multiple trays, while they might save you time, I'm not that concerned about it. And that's coming from someone who I'm concerned about time a lot because I need to make content for the channel. So for someone who is just working on this diamond painting and you have as much time as you need or want to work on it, then again, do what makes you happy. And that goes for all of the tips that I'm going to give you. Take what works for you and throw away what doesn't. These are by no means meant as tips for you to take as gospel. These are things that I do that work for me, and I'm already fully aware that these would not work for some other people. So I just wanted to share with you how I do things, how I approach these very confetti heavy canvases, and what some things are that you could do to set yourself up for success in the beginning. And then we'll talk about, in just a minute, we'll talk about how to implement some other tips that may help you as you approach this very intimidating, possibly large max color canvas where you've got, I mean, I would consider anything max color, anything with 100+ colors personally. So definitely 275 is tipping the end of that scale. And if you get a max color cross stitch conversion from Heaven and Earth, or you're doing anything like that, then you might have even more than that. Just to kind of get it set up for you, I wanted to come in here where I regularly film so I had some good lighting and you guys could kind of see what I was talking about. Now, I'm going to take you out to where I actually diamond paint. So if the acoustics are not as good, I apologize for that, but the canvas, my Josephine wall is so large, it doesn't fit in here. There's really no good way to film in here. So I'm going to take you guys out there with me and we'll go through my tips and tricks for how I approach working on these very confetti heavy canvases. So let's go. Okay, so here we are out in the living room. Hopefully you can see everything. I've got enough light. And that brings me to my first tip. The first tip is you need good lighting. I don't use a light pad, but you certainly could, especially for some of the colors that are rather dark. If you have trouble seeing symbols, you might want to use a light pad. I personally am out in my living room. I have an overhead light for the living room. I'm by the stairs. I have another overhead light for the stairs that shines onto my workspace. And then I have a desk lamp that I am able to point at whatever area that I am currently working on. So you can see here a little bit, I've got my release papers on here, and that is tip number 2 from me, and that is to section off your work. There's a lot of people who will say they just have at it and they'll roll up a section of the cover sheet and just begin working. I find that personally too overwhelming for me. I would much rather section it off. I don't generally use washi for that. This one is double-sided adhesive with the opaque cover, so the washi tape wouldn't have really been a good way anyway, but I prefer to just section it off using my release papers. So I find that doing it in sections means that I keep from getting overwhelmed, because paintings like these tend to be not only a huge amount of colors, but also tend to be very large, and that the size in itself can be intimidating. My third tip is to just take your time. And again, I know this sounds weird coming from somebody who is constantly talking about doing things faster, better, and all of that. But what I have found is that when working on something with this many colors and everything, if I don't take my time, then I just end up frustrated, because when you're not taking your time, it can be hard to see the drills. It can be hard to place the drills, and you feel like you're just not making a lot of progress, and that can be frustrating. So just take your time. Also, this is something I didn't add in there, but realize, because this is very confetti heavy, obviously there's not going to be a lot of multi-placing. There are some places where you could do multi-placing. The thing that Josephine walls are known for is being very confetti heavy, fairly large, and just kind of time consuming to work on. But there is a lot of satisfaction in doing a job like this, or a painting, not a job, you know what I mean. So yeah, just take your time. Each section, I have found, can take me anywhere from 2 hours to 4.5 hours, depending on the amount of confetti that's in each section. So just take your time. Something else that I think you should be aware of is to realize right off the bat, you're going to miss symbols. If you think that working very slow is going to keep you from missing symbols, it won't. I can't tell you how many times I have finished with the color, double checked the section to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and as soon as I put it away, I realize I've missed one. So just accept that you're going to miss some. And I kind of take the approach that I figure I'm going to touch each bottle for each section at least twice. Once on my first go round, and then again on my second when I go back to put in the ones that I've missed. Which leads me into my next tip, which is, how do you decide which ones to do first? You can do what I just did, which is to pick the symbols that stand out to you the most first. And on a lot of this canvas, it tends to be the brighter colors, the lighter colors, because those stand out more. So doing the ones that my eye is drawn to first is usually what I do, because you see more of them, or you see them more clearly. So picking out that particular symbol and doing those, I find when I do the ones that catch my eye first, whether that's the light colored ones or whatever, I tend not to miss as many of them because my eye has been drawn to that one already. So pulling that one out, that color out, and doing that drill or those drills first means that I'm more successful in maybe not skipping as many. I'll still miss some of them, but I will miss less of them if I do the ones that my eye is drawn to first. The other way that you can approach it is to do the symbols that have the most drills first. So for instance, in this section, if I was to look at this section, I might pick, of all of these, there's several that I could pick. I could pick this symbol right here, the triangle, to do that one first, the very light triangle. I could pick this U shape to do first. There are quite a bit of those. I could pick this pink triangle to do first, or I might pick this little sideways number symbol to do first. It's just a matter of what your eye happens to be drawn to. But if you do the symbols with a lot of drills first, then it makes it easier to go back and pick out and fill in what I call the one-offs. So if you happen to come across a section where there is a fairly large amount of drills together, which this right here, all of these drills in a row, that's almost unheard of in a J-wall. I happen to be working on this pink section. This is her dress, which is made to look like a bunch of roses. So there are some similar ones here. But over here you can see there's a whole bunch of different symbols just right in this one section, a whole bunch of different symbols here. Yeah, again, just do what works for you. If picking the lighter colors and working on those first works, do that. Or if it works better to do whatever symbol you think there is the most of first, then do that. Either way, any one of those will help, I think, make the confetti more approachable. So if you do a lot of the ones where you might get in some multi-placing, or you filled in the section with the drills that there is a ton of, then you can go back and do what I call the one-offs. What are one-offs? Those are literally drills where you may only have one or two in each section. So if you look at the section that's here on the canvas, I'm trying to find one that might be a one-off here. There is this symbol that is, this is a true one-off in this section. This looks like one of those little, oh, you guys can't see it. Let me move the camera. In this section, this little symbol right here looks like a clapboard from a movie screen or a movie production, and there's only one of those. So those are what I call one-offs. You only need one of those. So there's symbols like that where that's all you need. And when you literally only need one drill, it feels like a no-brainer to do the ones where you have multiple colors first, or multiple symbols first, to get those all out of the way, and then you can go back and fill in the one-offs. I feel like that's also a better approach, just because sometimes when you only have one and you have this much confetti, it's very easy for those symbols to get lost. So if you fill in the other symbols first, the ones that you have multiples of, then it becomes very apparent where those one-offs are, and you can fill them in. The other thing that you can do when you only need one symbol is to do what I saw somebody term spearfishing, and I thought that was such a great name for it that I decided to keep it. So here's what I call spearfishing. I only need one drill, and again, you're not going to have very many of some of these colors, so these are all the drills of this particular color I have, and I only need one of them. So what I'm going to do is take my container, I'm just going to stick my pen in, and I'm going to spearfish out that one drill that I need so that I can place it where it goes. And that way I'm not dumping the drills out into my tray when I only need one. Yes, I am screwing and unscrewing the lid to get to the spearfishing that I'm doing, but if I only need that one drill, it's actually saving me time to not pour it out into my tray, grab the one drill that I need, and go on. The other tip that I have for you guys is something that I talked about in the beginning of the video, and I don't know if there's any symbols on here that necessarily fit that. I'm trying to look at the symbols that I have on here. But what I showed you before, let me find that one. What happens is when they're printing the canvas, that's on one printer, obviously. When they print the stickers that they give you, that is a second color or a second printer, obviously. So when they print the stickers, like I said, this symbol on the sticker looks yellow, but the drills are green. And that can be confusing because on the canvas, the symbol will appear green so that it matches the drills. And so sometimes finding what you need can be a little bit challenging because the colors don't exactly match, especially if you have sorted your drills by color rather than by symbol or DMC or something else. So just something to be aware of as well. And then remember to take breaks for yourself when you're working on a big canvas like this. Because it is such a big canvas, it can be really overwhelming to be working on a project like this. So trying to sit down and do a bunch of drills all at once, trying to complete multiple sections in one session can be very challenging. Now, it can depend on the section. Like I said, I have had sections where it took me 4.5 hours to complete one basically 4x5 section. But then I also have days, for instance, yesterday, I was able to complete 3 sections in about 4.5 hours. And that was because those particular sections had quite a bit of one color. It was a background section. There was a lot of yellow, And so I was able to do quite a bit of not multi-placing. There was some multi-placing, not like you would think of normally with big blocks, but some multi-placing. But what I was able to do was not switch colors as often because there wasn't as much confetti. It was confetti in that there were lots of different colors used, but it was less confetti than normal in that lots of those colors were right next to each other, and so it just made it a bit easier. So yeah, just remember to take your time. However you decide to set it up, however you decide to organize and sort your drills, whatever works for you, whatever lighting you decide to use, whether that is overhead lighting like me, whether it is using a light pad, again, whatever works for you. Just don't be afraid to try new things. You might think that one way won't work for you and then find that it absolutely does and it actually makes your workflow easier. Or you might try it and absolutely hate it and then you know that that isn't going to work for you. The last thing I will say, especially when you're working on a very big confetti heavy canvas like this, and you're dealing with sections where you might have one-offs of some colors, etc., is to not sweat it if you make a mistake and you place the wrong color on a symbol. I have done that already on this kit more times than I can count. And odds are, in the confetti that is this canvas, no one will ever know. Now, if you replace an entire symbol with the wrong color, then yes, that might be something to worry about. But if you are literally just, oh, I should have placed that one there, but instead I placed it on the one next to it, it will get lost in the details when you step back. So don't worry about it. Just accept that mistakes happen. And I try to look at it as that is something that is going to make my canvas unique. Nobody else will have made mistakes in the exact same place that I did. And so that's just going to make my canvas all the better for it. Okay, I think that's all that I wanted to share with you guys. Those 10 tips and tricks to working on very large canvases with lots of confetti and or lots of colors. It can be very, very rewarding. It is just a sense of accomplishment to finish one of these canvases, not to mention that you have a gorgeous diamond painting when you're finished. So I think that's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.